Hey, what's up out there? So, yet again, another style challenge. So, I've decided to go with one of my favorite styles growing up. Actually, still my favorite style to this day. And that is, you can probably tell with the face alone, and now the shoulders, the timbers. So, growing up, I watched Batman the Animated Series. I love Batman the Animated Series. Man, it's one of the best things that has ever hit TV. Honestly, the show's so beautiful, and then like the storylines and everything. Although it was a children's show, like arguably, it like wasn't even a children's show. Like it was barely a children's show. I even did a college project on Batman the Animated Series. And I was reading about and learning about how they were really pushing the envelope, and like it was literally pushing the boundaries for what would be considered a children's show. And so and if you watch it, like it's barely a kid's show. It really is, and it's so good. And a big part of the magic is obviously the style. It's become very recognizable and iconic at this point. Obviously, Bruce Timm continued his success with Superman, the animated series, taking place in the same universe, which people have nicknamed the Timmverse. And, of course, Static Shock, Batman Beyond, and Justice League, as well as Justice League Unlimited. And growing up, I loved each and every one of them. Of course, I was watching Batman, the animated series first when I was very young, and I continued watching the rest of the shows as well. Actually, I didn't really watch Static Shock too much because I think it played on like Cartoon Network or whatever, and that was never a channel I had. For some reason, I never had Cartoon Network growing up. I would catch it every now and then, like I would see it somewhere or something, but I was aware of Static Shock for sure. But anyway, I love this style, like the square everything. I remember my dad when I was a kid, he used to make fun of it because everybody was so big. Like it's hard to find a male in the show that didn't have like these big features. Like basically, if you were thin, you would still have reasonably big features. So to speak. Obviously, Batman is a powerhouse, and I'm not a powerhouse by all means. So, I was trying to implement the set of rules and the sort of the boundaries in the construction, so that I can fit in what would be Batman the Animated Series style, and not look like I am like a beast of a man, because in real life I am not a beast of a man. So yeah, I don't look like Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock or anything like that. So that's something I wanted to keep in mind, but still wanting to keep sort of that Batman the Animated Series look. I was trying to keep in mind, for example, in the New Adventures, obviously there's a style change. And actually, the style that I was going for is actually from the New Adventures. I was shooting for the New Adventures over the animated series, which has some differences in style after it got its revamp. Commissioner Gordon, for example, he got a lot slimmer. I think it was supposed to represent him aging, so he's like not as strong. So he got thinner. I'm trying to think of examples of people who are thin in Batman the Animated Series. Alfred's thin. Those are a couple examples. But we can also see some different body types. For example, Nightwing. In the New Adventures, if you look at Nightwing, he's a little more, I guess, lean than Batman. Batman's more of a powerhouse, where Nightwing is a little more of an acrobatic body type. And as far as like the comics and his character, that's more of his style. After all, he came from a circus family, and he was an acrobat before, and he implements that in his fighting style. Actually, I just drew Nightwing there just moments ago, just a quick doodle. Nightwing's my favorite hero, and Batman the Animated Series really helped me sort of find who my favorite hero was, because I always thought he was so cool. I loved his costume. I loved his character. I loved how he was trying to do things by himself, and he stood up for himself, and he in the animated series differs a little bit obviously from the comic books, but Nightwing, he really wanted to do things his own way because he had his own sense of more like a not morality, but his own sense of right and wrong and what should be done, what should be considered taboo as far as crime fighting and stuff. Where Batman basically at this point in the New Adventures, he basically lost himself in Batman, which is a pretty cool angle. And it's actually that episode where you see Nightwing become Nightwing is a cult classic. Everybody loves it, or not everybody, but you know, it's a cult classic. But it's a good episode, and I love how he's talking to the new Robin, and the new Robin is like saying to him, "What happened, man? Like, you guys were the dynamic duo. Like, you guys had this reputation. Like, what happened between you two?" And he bonds with the new Robin, telling him about his story and stuff. And I really like that. The only thing I didn't like about Nightwing in the animated series was the fact that they gave him a mullet. But it's understandable because Nightwing in his first appearance, especially with the black and blue costume, he actually had a mullet. So, and you know what? The mullet actually could have been worse. It could have been worse. If you look at it, the hair on the top, the way that it like sort of is kind of like sort of brushed back but sort of standing up, you know, it's reasonably long. So like, imagine if his hair was any shorter. Like, let's say his hair was like, let's say he had like, his hair was like combed forward in like bangs, and like the bangs weren't very long. You know what I mean? Like, his hair could have been like spiky on the top. Yeah, his mullet could have been worse. So I'm like counting the blessings as far as the design, but it still looked cool to me. Like, although he had a mullet, like, he still looked cool. Like, I was able to bypass it. And you know, when he had his hair in a ponytail when he's Dick Grayson, like, it barely looked like a mullet. Like, it looked like his hair was like slicked back. And you know, if your hair's slicked back, you know, it looks like it can just fit in a ponytail. Like, it just looks like long hair at that point. Hey, look, a chipmunk. There's a chipmunk. I'm looking at a chipmunk eating a leaf. I've never seen that. That's so interesting. I was looking out the window. There's a chipmunk eating a leaf. Hey, do you want to be friends? Want to be my friend? I think you're my friend. He's my friend. Anyway, that aside, yeah, when he's Dick Grayson, if you look at his design when he's Dick Grayson, it doesn't even look like he has a mullet. So, if I were to choose, I would have given him just long hair. You know, like in Teen Titans, when he showed up in Teen Titans, he kind of had like just this long hair. I would have preferred that over the mullet, of course. But you know, he was still a character that I really like. The mullet won't stop me. So here I'm drawing. I'm cleaning up the body here. I'm making a clean version of this. The lines of Batman the Animated Series aren't really thick, so I want to keep that in mind, because if not, it will be off model and it won't feel right. So I'm trying to keep in mind of sort of the proportions and everything, because like everything's so square and like sticking out, if you know what I mean. Everything just like sticks out in Batman the Animated Series. So for example, in the New Adventures, the forearm is like really sharp in the way it sticks out. Where in Batman the Animated Series, it did do that, but it was more like rounded off. Basically, the New Adventures was slightly more exaggerated and slightly more stylized. But I do like it. I do like both styles. But a lot of people don't agree with me. I find like a larger number would disagree with me. But I actually prefer the New Adventures look. I think it's just fun. Like it's a funner look to me. I like both looks, but I like the New Adventures look better. But there are some character designs I don't like that they changed up. For the most part, I like them though. If I think about it, they changed the Riddler. That one I don't mind. If had he stayed with his suit and hair, like okay, I wouldn't have minded. Both of them were really good looks in my opinion. But they removed his mask. They made him bald, which is a really interesting take because if I remember correctly, when you saw him without his hat in the animated series, in the original animated series, it looked like he was balding. So, typically a lot of the times when men see that they're going bald, they just kind of shave it off. So that was an interesting take, I think. Something I really disapprove of is what's his name? Mr. Freeze. I like Mr. Freeze's new look. I prefer the goggles over the red irises. I don't really like that. But I like his suit. I just hate the fact that he's like a spider head. You ever notice that for those who have made themselves familiar with the New Adventures, he can literally pop off his head from his suit and he's a walking head with legs. Like he's like a spider head. Oh my gosh, I don't like that, man. I don't like that. What happened? Is there a backstory? Is there a comic where like his body got wrecked or something? I'd like to believe that the rest of his body's in the suit, but he can just somehow disconnect his head. I just don't like the idea that he's just a head. Like, what happened there? We could see in, for example, the movie Sub-Zero, which, by the way, is a tremendous movie. Batman the Animated Series, Sub-Zero. We could see that he has a body, because there's some scenes where he's literally shirtless. Let me think about other design changes. A design change that I really, really love is the Scarecrow. He looks so good. The first time around, he wasn't, like, he was kind of creepy, but not so creepy. But this time, he was, like, really creepy. Like, really, really creepy. Like, horror movie creepy. And, I love, like, his voice, too. Like, his new voice. And, like, how, like... I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I watched it. But if I remember correctly, Scarecrow's voice, like, when he talks, his mouth doesn't move. And he just looks so creepy. And he has, like, the rope around his neck and, like, his face and everything. His eyes... Man, that's such a good design switch. Bane, I like Bane too. He looks cool afterwards. Two-Face looks basically the same. Mad Hatter looks considerably different. I actually think I like his look better too. Killer Croc looks different. I can't decide which one I like better, to be honest, on that character. A character that I actually don't like the change, and is obviously a big character, is the Joker. I don't like the way he looks in the New Adventures. Actually, my favorite Joker look isn't even Batman the Animated Series, but the way he looks in Justice League Unlimited. That's my favorite Joker look. It's sort of like a mix of the two. I don't like the eyes. I don't like how the Joker gets like these black eyes with white irises. Like, what's that about? I don't like that. I don't like the fact that I liked how he had like lipstick. In the New Adventures, he doesn't have lipstick. He just looks so less like serious and so less. He looks so much less like a maniac, if you get what I mean. He looks like he's, for some reason, he just looks like a show host or something to me afterwards. Whereas before, he actually looked like the Joker to me. Or looked like a good Joker design. So the Justice League Unlimited Joker, I like that one the best. He has like the black instead of having the red lipstick, this time he has black lipstick, which I like. I think if I remember correctly, he has like red irises instead, which is pretty cool. He still has like the black green hair that I like. Sort of like how it kind of has the shine and what have you. I like that. Clayface looks basically the same. There's subtle differences. Again, I like his look better in the New Adventures. Man, I for the most part, I've been saying I like the changes, but I know there's some that I don't like. I like Batgirl's new look. I like Batman's new look too. I prefer those colors instead of the blue. I actually like just the black or like dark gray, and I like the belt. I'm also a fan of the bat symbol too. I kind of like that too. Um, who else, man? Who else got a style change? I'm trying to think. Usually I'm smart with this because I'm a fan of the show. I really do love that show. Man, I'm trying to remember. There's somebody who got a really big change in the look. I can't remember who. Anyway, I'll just move on. But Batman the Animated Series definitely rocked my world as a kid. I had like the action figures, I had some VHSs, some toys. I remember when I was little, my dad, he would rent the VHSs from Blockbuster. So I'd be either watching it from a VHS that my dad rented, or I'd be watching it on TV. But yeah, Batman the Animated Series was such a cool show, and it has one of like the best intros I've ever seen. Many consider it to even be one of the coolest intros to have ever hit TV. I think, in my opinion, it definitely is. The music and everything's just so memorable. I really think Batman the Animated Series, like the intro alone, is so epic. Something that's interesting about Batman the Animated Series is that it's never really an ongoing story, but like a story in itself. So it really separated itself from other shows, because other shows, it was like an ongoing story, where Batman the Animated Series was like an episode in itself, and it's cool. They usually tie up the story pretty nicely, if not pretty much always. I can't really remember a bad episode, but every now and then there'd be like a part 2, but for the most part there wasn't any part 2s, and it would just be like just the story in one. And the stories were always so good. Like, there was detective work just like Batman, there was some action, there was some drama, you know, Batman having to be the voice of reason between two people or something, or having to make hard decisions in the heat of the moment and stuff like that. Like, there's so many great moments in Batman the Animated Series, and it ran for I think it ran for 4 seasons. Yeah, it ran for 4 seasons. I kind of wish it ran for longer, but honestly, there was just so many great moments in that show. Then they came out with Batman Beyond, which Batman Beyond kind of screwed things up for me, because I don't like the outcome. You know, it just, like, how come nobody ended up with a happy ending? Like, everybody just had to have had like a bad, messed up ending. I hate the fact that Bruce ended up with Barbara. That's just messed up to me. He was always sort of like a father figure, almost like this wiser, older mentor kind of guy. And then he goes out with Barbara Gordon, who was Nightwing's girlfriend, who would have been close in age, and they grew up together a little bit, because when they met, they were like in their teens and whatnot. And like that doesn't make sense to me. Why would you go out with the commissioner's daughter? Like, are you not smarter than that? And then there's this comic that's supposed to be canon with the animated series, where he actually gets her pregnant. Are you kidding me? That's so out of character. Batman, the best detective in the world, he couldn't find any sort of bat protection or something. But even on top of that, I feel like it's just so out of character for him to even make those sort of life decisions with the commissioner's daughter. And then en plus getting her pregnant. Like that irritates a lot of fans. I know that already. Like, I've had some conversations in the comment sections in various places on that topic. It just doesn't make sense. And the thing about Bruce Timm is he likes to twist things around. And I'm paraphrasing him. He said, "It just feels wrong. That's why we did it." No, man. If it feels wrong, don't do it, man. And I would have been happy if at least some of them got at least somewhat of a happy ending, you know? I don't know if Barbara could have ultimately been with Dick, but that would have been kind of cool. But like, at least somebody, you know? Like, Barbara, like, she gets like a cool career as the new commissioner and stuff. She gets married and stuff. She ends up having the best situation, I guess. But like, she was a big part of how everything got messed up and everything. And, you know, Batman just ended up just being like even till the end, like just utterly consumed with the whole Batman deal, and I just kind of wish the outcomes were a little different. I wish at least the character of Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon would have had, because they were the lighter of the two, and sort of could see clearer than Batman as far as having an actual personal life and stuff like that, which was something that Dick Grayson really longed for, as you could see in the that one episode where he disbands with Batman. But you know, the Timverse, you know, it means so much to me. I grew up with it, and I love the style. I love the set of rules that he created for himself. And it can be recognized anywhere, honestly. Like, it's just become one of those things where someone would be like, "Oh, that's the style of Batman," you know? It's kind of like The Simpsons, where like you look at The Simpsons and you'll see someone in The Simpsons style and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, no, that's The Simpsons." You know what I mean? Another example would probably be Garfield. Although maybe a lot more toned down, a little less recognizable than, say, The Simpsons, obviously, because they're yellow and have the dopey looking eyes. But Batman the Animated Series is definitely one of those styles. So anyway, that's my finished product. Hope you enjoyed the sped up process and me flapping my gums about Batman the Animated Series. It's a show that I hold dear. And till next video, guys, peace and love. Thanks for watching. Means a lot.